Good evening and hope everyone is well. Welcome to Monday night, which means Champions League preview, Tottenham Hotspur versus Marseille, or should I say Marseille v Tottenham Hotspur tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock kickoff. And we'll be here tonight to go through the preview with my fellow guests, and we're live. Joining me tonight is my sidekick, as always, for the Champions League preview show, Sam Spurs for Life, and the one and only, the man from Scotland, Sean Hurley. Good evening, boys. How are we?
Who wants to go first?
Go for it.
I'm feeling okay. Much better after Saturday. Let's big game tomorrow. Big game in the course of our season. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Sam, yourself?
It's a big week. We got the result, which is all important. I think we got a bit of a second half performance. We see the lads, it means something to them. They are fighting. They want to win. They do want to get to that, as high as they can. So I'm hoping that they'll show the same spirit tomorrow and we go to Marseille and we get the result that we need to go through.
So you stole my thunder there. What I was going to say was, how wonderful was it on Saturday, again, to be scoring in the last minutes for a change and winning the game at Bournemouth from 2-0 down. On another day, would we have ever thought Spurs 2-0 down against Bournemouth out of all clubs? And then we're going to bring it back to win 3-2. What I was really happy about is the fact that when we went 2-0 down, at half-time, he realised, you know what, I need to change it. And what did he do? He didn't wait till the 80th minute, 85th minute. He started changing it within the first 10 minutes of the second half. When we went 2-0 down, then he thought, right, I got to change this. And slowly he changed it. But what substitutes had to be made, he made them. And they were the right substitutions, the right players. And we actually won the game. Ecstatic. All the other lot are saying how fluky we were, blah, blah, blah. But it's always fluke when Tottenham do it. But when everyone else does it, it's class because we're the best team in the world. I'll go to you first, Sean. How was you feeling at half-time? And I know exactly what you're going to say at full-time. And how was you feeling at full-time on Saturday?
Well, at half-time, I thought it was the biggest kind of dog poo I'd ever seen in terms of, to be 1-0 down to Bournemouth and not to really lay a glove onto them until about the last 2 or 3 minutes of the goal. And then obviously you had the Emerson satellite shot. It was pretty awful, but yeah, as I think I said on the review program, kudos to Conte. He made the changes. He made some very interesting changes. In fact, he didn't, he played Dyer as the right centre back rather than as a centre back, stuck with Longley, and Dyer did a really good job as an overlapping centre back. And I can't say that I was I'm happy with that. Again, it was we snatched it. We snatched the victory, but it kicked us in the top four. And as I've said, come November the 12th, when we finish against Leeds, we want to be in the top four, and we want to be through in the Champions League. So tomorrow night, it all hinges on tomorrow night. It shouldn't have hinged on tomorrow night. I still believe we were robbed last week, but let's go forward.
Yeah, and Sam, yourself?
Yeah. So again, you look at what I will say is I know that this team can pull results out. We've seen last season they've done that. We've seen against Leicester. We've seen a few results where we've had the 90th minutes sort of. Manchester City, we saw that as well. So we've had a few games where we know that these players can pull it out. My concern post, obviously, euphoria is why we need to get to that stage for these players to get going. Why we need to be 2-0 down with 50 minutes on the clock to think, Jesus Christ, we've got 40 minutes here to get 3 goals because we had to win. A draw wasn't good enough. So even though had we come back from 2-0 to get 2-2 on the strength of it, we would have said, oh, that's pretty good going. We had to win. So whatever they did and whatever Conte did, which was doing things that I've not necessarily seen him do. It was almost like a desperation. And what I mean by that is a desperation to win the games. Usually, even in that situation, we might see Conte not make subs until 75th, 80th minute, and we're all there scheming, what's he doing? He made dynamic substitutions to get players onto the pitch that made a difference. I think that was a masterstroke getting Dyer on in that right-hand side position, because Longley was playing well, and usually in the past we've seen him take Longley off and then put somebody else on, which don't make sense. So he kept the right players on the pitch to do the job that was needed. He took the wrong players off. Sanchez, Emerson on that right-hand side defending, we all know about it. Sanchez on the left-hand side defending, we all know about it. So it's very difficult for him, very difficult for Sanchez to be in the game and give confidence to the back 4-5. Same with Lloris at the moment. You know, he's just doing certain things. Not to say he had much to do in the second half, but there's a confidence that we need to have in our back lineup to be able to do what we're doing. All I can say is I just hope we don't have the same situation on Tuesday. I don't want that game. I want us to be in control where possible.
Right, cool. You know what? All I'm going to say is, whatever you said, whatever you did, I hope you meant it. I just want you to know I want you back. I want you to stay. I want you to stay, Conte. Anyway, better take that. Right, so just before we move on to the actual preview of one of the biggest games and what UEFA wanted, they wanted a group going into the final match day 6 where everything is going to be lying. You know, everyone has to win. Whoever loses gets knocked out. And unfortunately, they decided that Tottenham game was going to be that one because all the other groups were done and dusted and they didn't want that excitement. And because they love Tottenham Hotspur, they decided to rule that goal out last week and go. Let's put it this way: make it to a group of death match day 6 for everyone in Group D.
But as much as you say that, Sid, we should have won that game.
We should have won that game.
So at home,
100%.
Sporting Lisbon. Do you know what I mean? I know they're a good team, but we've got to win our home games. We said that. We didn't. We allowed VAR to have a say in it, which it shouldn't have had. It did. Yeah. I just hope, like I said, that tomorrow isn't judged by that. I honestly think, I'm not going to say that it's going to be they're going to give us the decisions, but I honestly think that UEFA have seen how that decision was. And not to say they're going to say, let Tottenham get the decisions, but psychologically, I just think we might get a bit of the rub of the green tomorrow.
Oh, interesting. We'll talk about that. Just before we move on, just like to thank everyone that's joining us. Please like, follow, and subscribe to PAXTON ROAD TV because we love to bring the content to everyone that's watching and listening. And I would love it. I'd pass you, Evra says, I would love it if you just follow and smash that like button. Kaylee JT's in the house. John Bethnal Green / Kent's in the house. Hope you get well
soon.
Yeah, hope you get well soon. And you've got the best medicine, Spurs and PAXTON ROAD TV. If nothing else can make you better,
it does depend on what day he catches us on, Sid. Because some days we don't always give out decent medicine.
Good evening to Mole Joe as well. Good evening to KD Retro Gaming. Good evening to everyone, guys. And without further, let's move on to Champions League match day 6. Marseille versus Tottenham Hotspur. Tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock kickoff. And I think it's at the Orange
Vélodrome.
Orange Vélodrome. I hope by that time we finish with it, it's going to be red and it's going to be blue. Blue is the color because blue is going to be roaring. Right. Let's move on. I'm chatting away now. Okay. So if we forget that, right. Group D results. So what I've done is basically the Marseille results and Tottenham Hotspur results. So first game, we beat them 2-0 and it took a sending off before we got into gear. They lost to Frankfurt at home 1-0. We lost to Sporting away 2-0. The next game, again, they beat Sporting 4-1. We drew 0-0 with Frankfurt. They lost 2-0. They won 2-0 at Sporting. We won 3-2 Frankfurt. And then they beat Frankfurt 2-1. We drew with Sporting 1-1, which takes us into this game. So this Group D has basically been, as the Chuckle Brothers says, doesn't it? To me, to you, to me, to you. We should have, like Sam, you've already said, we should have won last week and we should have qualified. However, if we look at the table now, everyone's played 5. We are on 8 points. Sporting Lisbon are on 7 points. Eintracht Frankfurt are on 7 points. Marseille are on 6 points. So, as I've called it, UCL Group of the F, because tomorrow it's going to be all or nothing.
Can I
Winner
ask a
takes it
question
all.
then? Is it
Go
does
on.
it does it still go on head to heads in terms of same points? It's not goal difference, is it? Is it head to heads?
No, it goes head to head. However, I have got the palpitations and what can happen and what can't happen and who's in the driving seat. So hold that thought, Sam.
Okay.
We will discuss that. However, what I want to ask you both, I'll ask you first, Sam. Looking at that table, we are top of the league. Marseille are bottom of the league. Do we go into this game tomorrow as favourites, even though we are away from home?
Judging by they've won 1, lost 1 at home, haven't they, Marseille?
Yeah.
We've won 2 and drawn 1 at home, have we not? In our games.
Yeah.
I was going to say home form is usually a good indicator for Champions League. You want to win your home games, and most teams who are going to win it normally do. I don't know is the question. I really don't know. I'm trying to get logical with it and think to myself, well, they did this against Sporting, but they did this against Frankfurt. Not so sure. I just think tomorrow is all about who wants it more. I don't think it matters that it's home or away. Their crowd might turn up, but we've seen our crowd when we played Sporting and what they did to us in that first half against them lot. So again, everybody was up for it in the stadium, and we still didn't put in a performance. So it doesn't matter if the crowd's up for it there. We did the same thing when we went to Frankfurt. That crowd was like mental, and we quieted that. So I don't really know. I think we just have to hope that the players turn up, that we haven't got any significant tiredness in the team, that he's able to rotate and put together a formula. Again, I don't know if he's going to go with a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. In my opinion, in my head, I'd like to think we can go for a 3-5-2, keep it safe, because a draw keeps them at the bottom and keeps them above. And regardless of then what the other result is, I think we would then go through because of the head-to-heads against Frankfurt as opposed to Sporting. So if that was a draw, and again, I'm going too far. I hope we just bloody win the game. I don't care about anything else. Just fucking win Spurs. Keep all these mathematics out of it.
That's it. We'll do that at the end anyway. Sean, are we going in as favourites for tomorrow's game, or is it advantage Marseille because it's at home?
Well, actually, Marseille's home record this season across both the Champions League and in Ligue 1 is dreadful. I think they've only won 1 game at home. All their points have come away from home in the league, and which they're doing quite well in, obviously. But their home form is dreadful. One of the stands is closed, I understand, so it won't be a full house, but it will still be, 3 sides of the field will be full. As they have to win. I mean, looking at their position, the only way they qualify is by getting 9 points, by beating us.
Yeah.
So that should play into our hands if we're going to do counter-attacking football. But then you look at how good have we been at counter-attacking football when we've got Son who's, not 100% at his game.
Yeah.
We haven't got Kulusevski. We haven't got Richarlison. If we're favourites, it's like 51-49. That kind of, it's that close, I think.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's going to be, like you said, they've not won. Their form at home has not been very good. They're not going to have a full capacity tomorrow as well. And also, Spurs going there, it's not going to be an easy game for them. And what's really peeing me off is all I've heard this week is, and even after last week when we drew against Sporting Lisbon, was that the end of Spurs' opportunity to go through because they're going to be playing a team full of ex-Gooners, and are the ex-Gooners going to do Tottenham, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? They may be ex-Gooners, but they're not playing for Arsenal. They're playing for Marseille. So
what I will say is, sorry, Sid, I didn't
No,
interrupt. What I will say is, Conte has already alluded to the fact in his post-match press conference against Bournemouth that this is a cup final. So the mentality going into this game is not even that we've got Liverpool on Sunday, is this is a cup final.
Yeah.
On the back of that, when you've got a cup final, regardless of what players' form is going into it, how tired they might be, they should up their game. Now, these guys know that there's only one chance to get through to the round of 16. I think Conte's actually said it as well. We can make things back up in the league. Had we lost on Saturday, that would have been a real dagger in the heart. And he even said himself, he doesn't know what his mood would have been. So I think we've got a bit of an extra little bit of a what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? We've got an added incentive, obviously, but we've got a little bit of leeway as well, because the pressure of the Liverpool game is still going to be there, but it's nowhere near like the pressure would have been had we lost Saturday. Then going into this game with a must-win, then we would have probably had to go to the Liverpool game as a must-win. This is a must-win tomorrow. I'm looking a little bit forward as well. The Liverpool game, we could probably afford a draw. Not to say I want that, but tomorrow's got to be, we've got to go out. So I don't care if the players are tired for Saturday or for Sunday. We have to win tomorrow.
Cool. Right. So, previous game with these guys, it was Tottenham Hotspur 2, Marseille 0. It took Mbembe to be sent off in the 47th minute. We was all at that game. Am I correct?
No, I wasn't. I didn't.
You wasn't. Sean, you was there, weren't you? Yeah. You're on mute, Sean. You're on mute. It wasn't the best of games. And like I said, second half, it took Richarlison 76 and 81 minute headers to get us through to the game. But up until that sending off, it didn't look like we was going to score. The team that night was Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Langley, Emerson Royal, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Perisic, Richarlison, Son, and Harry Kane. And looking at that team from that night, I think after that, they've probably almost played every single game apart from Richarlison. So it's not been something where we've been able to rotate players. Majority of them players have either played every other game since then, unless they've been injured.
Tanganga, where did he come from?
I know Tanganga came on as sub, and I think when Tanganga, Kulu, and Davis and all them lot came on, I think that's when the game changed. So that night, whatever it was, it did change the game for us. So it was one of them. Now, I'm going to go to predicted lineups, and we'll talk a bit more as well. This is what I think the predicted lineup's going to be tomorrow night. I've eliminated Emerson Royal because he got hammering again on Saturday. So I don't know whether Conte will trust him tomorrow night. Knowing our luck, he's going to play.
He's playing.
And going back to what you were saying about it before, Sam, what formation? I personally think this is a formation he will go with 3 in the middle because, and this is my opinion, purely because when we played them at home, we played with 2 in the middle and we found it a bit hard to break them down. But with this formation, with these lot playing tomorrow, I think we can create problems, and also it gives us a bit of stability to help the back three, and also going forward we can do a bit of combinations. Sean, do you think this could be a potential lineup, or do you see anything different? Because as far as I'm aware, Romero, obviously Richarlison's out, even though he was apparently training. Kulu's been training, but he's not going to be fit. And they've also said Romero's not fit for tomorrow. So then 3 are, from what I've read and heard, they're not going to be playing tomorrow. So do you think this will be the best team if that's the case?
I could certainly see him playing that back line. I'm not sure that he's going to go. And of course, the other factor, Sid, is that Conte's not allowed on the touchline. He's not allowed in the dressing room.
That's right.
He's travelled with them because I've seen him get on the plane on the club video. But he's not, he didn't do the press conference tonight. I think it was Stellini stood in for him. I don't know. I mean, it's a game. I don't want us to go and play for a draw.
Yeah.
A draw suits us, but I don't want us to go to play for a draw. I want us to go and win the game.
Okay.
And I don't know whether 3-5-2 gives us the best opportunity of winning the game.
Right.
So I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm literally I don't know what's going to be playing because of all sorts of factors outside of the, apart from the injuries, but also the fact that the head coach can't have any influence.
So let me ask you this before I ask you, Sam. So do you think he might? Do you think potentially he could go for a 3-4-3? And if so, who would be the third attacking option?
Well, the third attacking option would be Lucas, I suppose.
Right. Okay.
Although I would prefer it was Gil. I don't want to see Lucas anywhere near our team ever again. But that's me and my one-man crusade, as you know. So I don't know. I do feel 3-4-3 gives us a better chance of winning.
Okay.
But I can understand that he would go 3-5-2 to try and stop us from losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sam?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go based on what you just said at the last bit at the end, Sean. That's what I'm going with, because 3-4-3 is more of an attacking formation, obviously, with 3 forwards on the pitch. But we can't lose this game. If we draw this game, we could still potentially go through, and we will go through if we draw this game based on the head-to-head, because if one of the other two wins, obviously we'll have more points. So a draw takes us through regardless of what else happens. That's one thing to say about this game tomorrow. 3-5-2 will allow us to defend through the middle, which will force them into wide areas. I don't see Doherty playing. I possibly could see that back three playing. I think he'll put Emerson in there. I just don't think he'll play Sanchez in there. If he plays Sanchez and Emerson on the same side, we've got a lot of problems tomorrow. That's one thing I guarantee. But if he plays that back three as it is and he plays Emerson, I'll be okay with that. The midfield three, if he plays it as a 1 and a 2 in front, it means we can counter-attack because Bentancur has the pace, and even Højbjerg, we've seen him have the pace to do that, which could leave Basuma in that one space just behind. We are going to have to counter-attack. It is going to be a counter-attacking game. Son and Kane is my only concern. These guys have played every single game pretty much all the way through now. It's a last big effort for them to do that. Are they going to be able to defend to get forward effectively? We'll see. But I think this has got to be the formation, but I think the personnel will be slightly different.
Yeah, and the other thing, and I've said this many times on stream, my worry is Perisic's form is not being bang on at the moment. I know Conte said once he's fully fit, you're going to see the best of him, but when is he going to be fully fit? Because in some games he's been very ineffective. Against Bournemouth, his corners were on point. Son just can't beat the first man, and Son's corners are different gravy compared to Perisic. Perisic is on next level. But in terms of trying to beat players and doing, stuff that he used to do back at Inter Milan and places like that, he's not been doing it. He's not getting past players quite, easily. And then once or twice when he has done that, there's no one in the box. Do you think then tomorrow, and I'll throw you open to both of you, do you think tomorrow Perisic has got to have a top decent game tomorrow? Because obviously the importance of the game as well and where we're playing it. Do you think he has to be on point tomorrow?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I want a top draw performance from Perisic. I think he, like Doherty, is still hanging. The injury that they got at the tail end of last season is still affecting them. I don't know. I mean, it might be a game for Sessegnon. I mean, Sessegnon might actually be on have his tail up now. He scored, and he managed to avoid getting hooked on Saturday, and he even transposed to the right wing back position and did quite well as well. So, I mean, Perisic has got all the experience though, and this is a game for heads with experience, you know. So I think we'll probably will see Perisic at left wing back, but he'll need support from Davis and whoever's playing left of the midfield three.
Yeah.
And obviously, to work with Kate, with Son, if Son's playing left side up front. Yeah.
Yeah. Sam?
100% agree with what Sean said. We need as much experience on the pitch. Excuse me. We need as much experience on the pitch tomorrow as possible. If the defense, and you were saying about does he need to play well for us to win? We need to have at least 8 to 9 players to play really well tomorrow for us to win. One of them has to be the goalkeeper. Our goalkeeper has to perform well. If we have any sort of shady business in terms of his passing out from the back, and we have any shady business through his coming out and catching, it's going to be a long, long day. Because the defense will feel it if the goalkeeper's not feeling it. I would like to see Longley at the back of the centre of those three because his passing ability is better than the other two. Dyer, as we've seen, because he's got this hybrid in him, he was once a midfielder, he was once a right back, he was once, probably even a forward at some point. I think he can do that job of going forward. And it just makes that right-hand side a little bit better in terms of its security because I think Emerson will be on that side.
Yeah.
If that happens and we get 8 out of 11 players at least playing well, I think the game. I think Perisic starts his experience, but we can change the formation and we can change how we play if we're not winning the game or if we need to do something differently.
See, the thing is as well, you're talking about Dyer. When he came on as sub, didn't he? Mm-hmm. On Saturday against Bournemouth, right? Or did he start? I can't remember.
No, he was a substitute and he came on and he performed well. He was at right centre back.
Right.
He did
exactly.
Yeah. So I think what Dyer's strength and Davis's strengths are not passing but carrying the ball.
That's right.
Davis from his fullback time and Dyer from his midfield time.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a passer in our defence, I would rather have Longley.
Yeah.
And to be in the centre, that dictates all the play. So if you think about it, that centre back needs to have a few things for me. He needs to be the one that can organise everything. And there's no reason why Dyer can't be part of the organisation in the back three, even if he's not centre back.
Yeah.
But certainly if Longley is accomplished enough to play there passing wise, it just makes everything a little bit more secure. Because the last thing you want is for the game to start and somebody misplaces a 5-10 yard pass. And it just dumps everything on in terms of pressure. You've got to start these games well. You really have to start these games well. First goal, if there is a goal in this game tomorrow, is all important. I think if we get it, it opens everything up because you can really sit deep and counter-attack. They get it. I'm not sure what they do, but we would have to go through it anyway. And then there's always a case of them catching us on the counter-attack. So
100%.
Man, it's one of them games which is going to really be on a knife edge at all points until that first goal goes in. It really is.
And do you know what? The other thing as well I was going to say about Dyer is when he came on in that second half, he probably done more down the right, putting crosses in and that than Emerson Royal has because he was making runs down them wings and crossing the ball in a few times. And I think for one of the goals, he was the one that went down the flank and created it.
He overlapped because he understands right back position. I remember him playing in that game against West Ham when he was a right back. I think was it his debut? I don't even know if it was his debut.
Yeah.
Against West Ham.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic game at right back and he scored it, didn't he? Didn't he score in his debut?
And we were down to 10 men as well.
Yeah, I remember that game because I remember him playing in that and thinking, this guy's good. I like him as a fullback. Then obviously he shifted around. But what Dyer does have, and as much as the critics and much as we criticise him, what he does have is every manager that's been in since that point has trusted him in some way, shape or form, whether that's in midfield, whether that's in defence, whether that's right back.
Yeah.
That says a lot because we've had a few managers and we've had different managers and they've all seen the same things in him. So there must be something in him, leadership-wise, determination-wise, ability to communicate, ability just to, maybe calm things down. I don't know. He's got his faults, but there must be something that's positive. I just hope all that positivity comes out and we have everybody doing what they need to do tomorrow.
100%. And just going back to this team, right? David Clark's put a good comment in here, which I want to ask you both about this one. You've both said it, the 3-5-2 and the 3-4-3. You know, obviously, if we're going for the draw, then you want the 3-5-2. 3-4-3 gives us the option of winning. However, David Clock is saying here, you can start with a 3-5-2 if we need to go more attacking. Then you go to a 3-4-3. You can't do it the other way around. Do you agree with that one? Do you think we can start with a 3-4-3 and then go into a 3-5-2? Or is it better to start with a 3-5-2, then change it?
So
I would think if we went 2-0 up, which is not beyond the realms of possibility.
Yeah.
We could go 3-4-3, then 3-5-2. I can understand where David's coming from. He thinks about the game very seriously, and he often puts up some great suggestions. That's a good one as well. I don't know. Until 7 o'clock tomorrow, we won't know what the team looks like.
So what I will add to that is it depends on the personnel who's in that team. Right. For instance, if you have this team on there, you can switch from a 3-5-2 to a 3-4-3 in game. Perisic could push up into a 3. You could then shift one of those midfielders into a 4, and then you could have your 3-4-3. So you could effectively do that partway through the game if you start with personnel that can change. Now, if you don't start with Perisic and you start with Sessegnon, I think it's more difficult because he's not a natural left forward, in a sense, as Perisic has been. So I think the personnel will dictate how we play. If we see Emerson and we see Sessegnon and we only see Son and Kane, it will be a 3-5-2, definitely, because none of their midfielders can join in that attack. But he might throw a curveball. He might, I don't think he will, but if he throws someone like Lucas Moore at right wing back, then we could see that there's in-game changes. Again, if we had someone like, I don't know, a Spence, again, there's that option to throw him further up, but we won't see that either. So personnel will dictate how we, formation-wise, how we start this game.
Yeah, agree. Like you said, we don't know what he's going to do, whether he's going to, what Conte's thinking now, because obviously whatever he's thinking, he's got to do it today and tomorrow before the team sets out, because he's not allowed on the touchline, he's not allowed anywhere near the players, he's not allowed in the dressing room before, during, or after, and well, after the game. No.
Another quick thing I just wanted to add, Sid, and then I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Is I think, and time will tell this, tomorrow will tell, I actually think not having Conte on the sidelines may actually play into our hands. It may actually be beneficial for the players, because whoever is on the sideline and plays Conte, I don't think it's going to have the same micromanaging as Conte does. So these players are going to have to take responsibility, and the likes of Basuma, who I think needs a little bit of that creativity to be able to go and do what he needs to do, because the rigidness of Conte in the system means that if you make a mistake, it's like, shit, was I in the right place? You're thinking about the game too much. Sometimes you've got to think less about the game and do what you do naturally. He's a player that I think has the natural ability to know what he needs to do. I just think we need that tomorrow. We're going to need a degree of creativity and players taking responsibility as well.
See, because obviously he's got no communication at all during the game as well. You can't even communicate with him during the game. You can't ring him. You can't do nothing like we've seen. Question for you, which I've just thought of this one in my head now, right? He's got his number 2, not a problem. Do you think then tomorrow he's going to call upon Ryan Mason, because Mason's managed them, he takes them in training, he's played? Do you think then he's going to give more responsibility tomorrow to Ryan Mason, knowing that this guy's been on the pitch, he's been a manager, and he might be able to get through to the players better than what his number 2 is? So do you think Mason could be a more proactive role than normal tomorrow? Sean?
I don't know. I mean, I think Stellini is someone that Conte trusts, so
yeah,
you will expect him to do that. I think there might be a few WhatsApp messages being sent forwards and backwards, but I don't know, and whether that's what Mason's got to field, I don't know. But it's no, I think Stellini's in charge. He will call on Mason's experience of dealing with you know, remember some of the players he's actually come up through the academy with. So
Yeah.
in terms of Kane, you know, but yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I wonder whether the players will improvise a bit, like Sam's indicating. You know, that they will feel a little, you know, able to express themselves, as the coach likes to talk about. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many ifs and buts.
Yeah.
I'm not confident about the game tomorrow, I must admit.
That's very unlike you, Sean. Very unlike you.
It's very unlike me, yeah.
Yes.
There's reason for it though, Sean. There's reason why we're not confident, because we've seen performances. We've seen desperation to get results. But tomorrow's got to be more. We have to get the result. So whether it's desperate or not, but we don't want to have to be going through that. Oh shit, we're 1-0 down. Oh, what if we go 2-0 down? We don't want that. We want to get that first goal, control the game. Because if we draw, we are through. That's the bottom line. Draw and we are through.
Right. So, talking of if we get a draw, we are through, or whatever. Here is the scenarios. So, all 4 teams can finish top of group or miss out on round 16 altogether. Only Tottenham are assured of a 3rd place and a Europa League berth at the very least. Tottenham are in the box seat with just a draw, the Marseille required to progress, while a victory ensures 1st spot. Tottenham, this is the one that's concerning. Tottenham have never won in 6 previous trips across the channel, drawn 4, lost 2. And then Sporting need just a draw with Frankfurt to progress. Yeah. So obviously all 4 can qualify and 2 are going to miss out. We all know that. We even going into that game tomorrow from last week, we knew that. We're assured a 3rd place and a Europa League berth at the very least, which is, for me, the Europa League going into that next round is going to be a lot tough with Barcelona, Juventus, all them lot, Atletico Madrid piling into that, right? We all know we win tomorrow. We sit back with a cigar because we're through. But the next fact is the one that's concerning. And I'm going to ask you first, Sam. Never won in 6 trips across the channel. Drawn 4, lost 2. Are you now in Sean's boat now and not confident after that stat? Because not won in 6 across the channel. That, for me.
Well, you can balance that up with what you said earlier, because I didn't realise about Marseille's home form. So you can balance that up in the same sense as we haven't won in 6 games. They have only won 1 game in X amount of games at home. So it's all these if, buts and maybes. The bottom line in any of this is going into the game tomorrow, they know what they have to do.
Yeah.
So the players know not to lose. This is such a difficult position for the manager to kind of say, because you don't want to say to the players, you know, don't lose this game, you know, because that's giving that negativity of like, well, we don't attack to win the game. It's like, I think we just go for that first half. If you get a goal, that puts you in a better position. If you go for it and don't get a goal, it's still 0-0. If you go for it and they get a goal, well, you're going to have to go for it anyway. So my thoughts are, going into this game, just get that first goal. If you can get that first goal, like how, I hate to say it, how Arsenal do, they put everything into that first 15, 20 minutes. Because if they get that first goal, the stats prove the team that scores the first goals more often than not wins the games. The team that goes in at half time, more often than not wins the game. Stats back that up over any league in any division anywhere in the world. So that's the importance why they always say the first goal is the most important thing to try and do. Because of that, and because Conte's not actually on the sideline, I think that these players will probably have that in their minds. You know what? We're a good attacking team. We can score goals. We've got an average of 2 goals per game over this season. Why don't we go for it and at least try to get this goal first? Sitting back against Marseille, I just don't think it's the right way to do it, because 0-0 up to the 89th minute, all it needs is a corner, and bloody hell, we've seen what could happen against Sporting. We've seen that. So I don't want that situation.
And the other thing on that one, I was just going to say to you before I ask you, Sean, Sam, how many times have we done a preview, Sean? How many times have we said first 15, 20 minutes, we need to go at teams, we need to go at teams? And every single time we've said it, it's never, ever happened. So I'm not counting my eggs on tomorrow, us coming out at them, because we just don't do it. it's probably going to be the usual shit first half, better second half, or vice versa.
So obviously, Conte is going to give instructions, and he's going to give whatever he's going to give in that before they get into the changing room, and then whatever they do in the changing room, he's going to be able to get messages on because someone will be in the stand. He'll be able to contact them. Technology means that he'll be able to get his message across. So I don't dispose that.
I don't think he can do any communication whatsoever, not even by phone or text or nothing.
Listen, they ain't got everything. It's not the CIA. You know what I mean? It's UEFA here. There's going to be somewhere in communication. It's going to be from Conte to somebody on that Tottenham staff who will get messages to them people. 100%. I know 100%. That. That
Sean, thoughts on that stat about the drawn 4, lost 2?
I will. We don't have a good record in France. That's true. I mean, look at Rennes. We only managed to get a draw out of that game. And that was in the Conference League last year. And I remember we were close to going out of the Europa League. Was it against Lyon?
Yes.
And Dembele scored a last-minute goal. We don't have a particularly good record in France. But I will say, what about the Newcastle game, where for 30 minutes from kickoff we battered them, and didn't score?
That's right.
And what happened then? So we have started well and lost the game.
Yeah.
I'm now of the thing is that this particular style has been adopted for this particular season, and I think the idea is to contain the team till half time and then step it up in the second half, because that's the only way you can explain what has gone on this season, isn't it? And I think that there's a energy conservation strategy being developed, and I think that's the only way we can explain that we're playing. And I saw that with Brendan Rodgers on Saturday. I said against Man City. He said we contained everything, and we said we're going to have a 20-minute game, game at the end of the game, and they nearly got a point up of City.
Yeah,
in that last 20 minutes. So I think this is a deliberate strategy.
High risk, though. High risk.
Of course, it's a very high risk, and this is a game maybe that we would love to go 1 or 2 up early doors, but the only time we've taken the front foot this season was Newcastle, and we ran out of steam. And we did run out of steam because we got it back to 2-1, and we didn't lay a glove on them.
We did, and the point is though, if you think about percentage-wise, there's 2 results out of 3 results that takes us through. 2 results out of 3, if we win or if we draw. So a loss, obviously, I think that is it for us, because Marseille will be above us, and the other teams, regardless of what happens in that, one of them will get enough points because of their head-to-head to be above us. So we've got 2 results out of 3. If you're trying to be risk averse, I would think, right, you can contain this team, contain them if you can get to half time. But let's say they score within the first 5 minutes. All of that goes out the window. Absolutely. So you have to go for your attacking anyway. So my point is, right, go for the attacking. If you don't get it and they score, you still have to do that anyway. Go for the attacking and they don't score, but we're 1-0 up. We can afford to then have a goal against us and maybe see the game through 1-1, takes us through. Seeing the game 0-0 to 89 minute, 90th minute, and then seeing what we saw in Sporting, that would kill us. That will kill us. This
is the thing. We don't want it to go with 5 minutes to go. Where it's on tender hooks, because...
Hold on, what's the difference between 1-1 and 0-0?
There is no difference. But what I'm saying is, if you're 1-0 up with 10 minutes to go, the likelihood is you'll get a draw out of it. If you're 0-0 or 1-1 with 10 minutes to go, I wouldn't like to say what's going to happen in that game. That's my only point. Get the first goal. Try and hold out as long as you can. If the team gets the equaliser, you're in a position where it's still going to be very tight, but at least you've got that goal. Whereas
if we score after 10 minutes and they score after 20, you still got 70 minutes.
Well, I think then you know what you've got to do. So my point is, then at least you know what you've got to do. If it's 1-1 in the first half, I think you've got to win the second half. I don't think you can't even take the point of drawing that second half. You've got to win the second. In my opinion, that's how I'd approach it.
if we're heading into the last 10, 15, 20 minutes with a draw, 0-0, 1-1 or whatever, theoretically we are through. But we're not very good towards the end of games, and especially if we come under pressure and they score and they go in the lead with 5-10 minutes to go, then that makes that game a hell of a lot more difficult, you know. And with Conte not being on the touchline, Sam, like you said, it might work in our advantage or it might not. It depending on.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Exactly, we don't know. Whatever's going to happen, it's the palpitation for tomorrow night. We don't know. It's all about ifs and buts on if this happens, that happens. If he plays. You know, it's down to the players' bottom line tomorrow. It's down to their players tomorrow to show Conte that while he's not on the bench or he's not anywhere on the touchline shouting instructions, screwing at him, doing whatever, that they can handle the pressure. They can go out there as Tottenham Hotspur players without being nursed, if you want to put it in that word, and win the game and show Conte and everybody else that, you know what, we can do it without Conte just giving us instructions and shouting. We are capable of doing it, but we will never know, and we will find out tomorrow evening. Let's
just put it out to you two both.
Yeah, go on.
Would you rather go into that second half 1-0 up or 0-0? Obviously, I know it's an obvious answer, but I know what, having got that first goal and going into that half time 1-0 up, at least you know that team's going to come out. We've always got the ability to counter attack. We've seen that. I just don't want us to be behind at any point in this game. I don't even want to get to 0-0 with. I don't want to be drawing with 15, 20 minutes to go because I don't know what this team's going to be like. I want us to be winning, even if by a goal, and we've got 20 minutes left. I'll be more comfortable with that scenario than any other scenario because it's going to be a tough game regardless.
I don't know about you, Sean, but I think if we go 1-0 down, in fact, not even think, I know we can at least get one back. With what we've got out there, with the kind of players that are on form, I know we can get one goal back, and then we can maybe go and get the winner. But if we 1-0 down, I can see us getting one back at least.
Energy levels as well, though. We played on Saturday. We've got to play on Tuesday. There's been no time to prepare for this game other than rest time. Going into any Champions League game after a Saturday game is tough anyway.
Yeah.
In a game that you can't afford to lose. I just think you've got to be as defensive as possible, but if you've got an opportunity to score, you've got to take it because you can then defend that lead. Defending a 0-0 is asking for trouble.
I don't know. Sean, 1-0 or 0-0? Or...
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, it's a rhetorical question, isn't it? You want to be 1-0 up. I want to be ahead throughout the game, 2-0's even better. You know, I mean, it's like that, but I don't have a good feeling about tomorrow night. I can only call it as I see it.
Absolutely.
You know what? We don't want Sean doing that. Once he starts doing, he's not
that's
feeling
the problem,
good. That's
not
not
He's got
good,
the Darius
man.
vibe. But you know what?
That's Darius vibes, man.
Like I said to you, very, very rarely do we see Sean not so confident in any of our previous shows. So if Sean's not confident, then you know what? That's what Sean thinks, man. You know, hopefully they'll get that 1-2 goals that he wants and they will be confident. Right, let's have a look at every person. Let's go through some of these comments who have been, our people in the comment section have been writing away nice and calmly and politely. And let's go through some of them and say hello to some of them. So Kelly JTTV, big up guys. Good evening, Kelly. So yeah, we've gone through. Moljo saying, looking forward to this, lads. Good evening. Yeah. Moljo, I think Dyer will play tomorrow, Sean, with Lenglet staying in the middle as it looks like Cutty may be out again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've discussed that one. Yeah. Johnny Bethnal Green stroke Kent saying gutted Romero might be out. As far as I'm aware, he's 99% out, but maybe mind games, maybe not. KD Riz Retro Gaming. Evening, guys. Hope Hugo. Huge game for Hugo tomorrow, boys. Just have to be up for it.
He has to be up for it. It starts with him. He's the captain.
Yeah. He's the captain. And I said this last week after the Sporting Lisbon game. For a captain, he should be leading by example. And he did not once lead by example in that Sporting Lisbon game. And he was the first one down that tunnel. My captain of my club walking down that tunnel, the first player after the final whistle. That is not right.
If he doesn't have a good game, we've got no hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got no hope.
David Clark is saying here, good. Look, I will tell you what happens. We draw 1-1 against Marseille and the other game ends in a draw. So we end up topping the group. There you go, Sean. Feel confident now. David Clark says it, has it, how it is. 1-1 draw and they're going to draw and we're going to top the group. David Clark is then saying it will be Dyer, Langley and Davis at the back. As what I said. Moljo, we've got better players, but they really have to want it more than they have to come out with fire in their bellies. We've said that all along, haven't we? We've got they've got Sanchez. That's if he's fit. They've got Guendouzi if he wants to, have his hair taken out by Romero, but he's not going to be there tomorrow. So it's like you said, we've got the players, we've got the better players, but it's the mentality and whether they've got the fire in the belly. We'll see what happens. It won't be an empty stadium. 13,000 down with one stand closed. Yeah. Zuki Spurs, good evening. THFC's cup side spirit will see us through. 2-4. 4-2. Seeing 4 goals away from home. Very confident indeed, Zuki. You're very confident. John Fernandez, Soulful House. I like that. Evening, gents. Another scary game tomorrow. Every game's scary, isn't it, with Tottenham? Andrew Caswell is saying here, with Tottenham, they cannot be a head-to-head. They are the only ones that can get 9 points with a draw. Yeah, we've discussed that already. But yeah, you're right. K Rids is saying here, I think it will be a draw. And as usual, stressful as ever. But we'll get the job done. I think that have we watched any game that we've not been stressed at apart from the Southampton game? Can you think of any games, boys?
I thought we were good against Fulham.
Yeah,
it finished stressfully.
Everton game as well. I think that was a comfortable game, wasn't it? Not the Everton one.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Terry Wright, big up, gents. Good evening, Terry Wright. Zuki Spurs is saying here, traveling diehards, go do what you do, noise it up. I'm sure there will be loads. And I've spoken to a few today as well, on their way to Marseille. So hopefully the Spurs contingency fans will be in the stands making all the noise. Everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Andrew Caswell is saying Conte is banned, not allowed in the dressing room before and after the match. Well, how about this one then, guys? Question for you. Would love to see Gil get the start, but I'm sure he'll start Lucas. Thoughts on that one? Because cameos, he's had a couple decent ones. Because the one thing he did when he comes on, he runs at players with the ball and he gives it 100%. I know when the wind blows, he falls over, but he's got the mindset to attack players. And every time he gets the ball, all he sees is, I want to go forward. I want to go forward. Sam, do you think that would happen? Not that it's gonna.
No. He's an impact player for me. He's not ready for physically. He's not ready for that sort of challenge. And why would, in a game which is such a high risk game, would he risk playing him? If he's going to do that, he would have played him in a home game way ago. So I don't see that happening tomorrow. I can't see Lucas Moura starting, although Lucas Moura is probably the one player that you can guarantee will run at players. I just don't think he's good enough anymore for us to be starting games. Both of them are impact players. Both of them can cause a problem if they come on as subs if we have to chase a game. So why not keep them? As I said, keep this game tight where possible. If you get that first goal, great. Hold it. And if we need to chase it, at least we've got options to chase it. But I just don't want to. I don't know.
Sean?
I don't know now.
I think Gil is at this point an impact player. He's good against tiring defences. So yeah, bring him on 75 minutes, something like that. And he will. He's got the possibility of winning you a penalty, or he's got a good cross on him, and he's industrious. And he gets stuck in. I mean, he's not. He's never going to be a Moussa Dembele, but he's got a place as an impact star, and he's better in the Champions League than he is in the league. And I thought he was quite good on Saturday when he came on, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if he goes 3-4-3 for the right hand slot, it's going to be Lucas. You know that.
Yeah. Agree. Vincent Frankenstein is saying salutations, Paxton Road. Terry Wright is saying Perisic is a big game player. I think he'll step up for tomorrow night. Next one, I think, is either wishing on a star or, as Gabrielle said, dreams can come true, because Caswell Andrew he thinks there might be a surprise. Dyer on the right, centre back, and
He will be.
Spence as a trump card.
No,
Never
no,
gonna
no,
happen.
no. Not in a game. Why? That doesn't make any logical sense.
Yeah.
A game that means so much. When we've had other games, I know every game is important, but there's been lesser games where Spence could have played. There's no way Conte is just going to throw him on now. Can't see that. No chance.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Right. The next one from Terry Wright. Sean, I'm going to ask you this one first. If Romero is unfit, I'd rather see Tanganga at right centre back. Sanchez has been shocking of late. Has he got a shout to be playing tomorrow, or would you stick with Dyer, Lenglet, Davis?
No, not a chance. The game's too important. Game's too important. I like Tanganga. He's an honest pro, and he's a Tottenham boy, obviously. But no, not a chance. He's it's not going to happen. He's going to play the three that you've picked in your starting lineup, without a doubt.
Cool.
I agree with that. And it has to be, though. Sid, come on. Imagine we saw a team tomorrow that had Tanganga, let's say Emerson in there, I don't know, Ben Davis, and even if it was Sessegnon and Perisic, that back line would not give you confidence.
No.
Without Romero, it's not going to give as much confidence, but I can see it having Dyer there, Longley, and Davis, all three of which I know are going to give maximum effort, and I just think it's balanced enough.
Yeah.
With Sanchez in any of those positions, left or right-hand side.
And it's such a big, important game. As Conte said, it's a cup final. You're not going to put in a player at right centre-back who's only had about 5 minutes of play in a Champions League game, and that's all he's had. So it would be a massive, massive risk to start with Tanganga over anyone.
The question falls on the false promise because, Sanchez is not playing.
Yeah.
He's definitely not playing.
Sanchez definitely not playing.
I would say not.
I don't think so. Definitely. I don't think he'll start. There's no way he'll start.
Has Conte actually said that, or we just surmise?
No, we're saying that.
Well, this is the point I'm trying to make. We only know that Romero is probably definitely out.
Yeah.
This will be the problem for me, because I think Sanchez is going to cause Conte the headache in terms of, does he play Sanchez and puts Dyer back to the centre of the centre back?
Yeah.
Or does he do what we've seen happen on Saturday? My view, I think all of our views are, he should do what you put in your starting 11.
Yes.
But we know Conte well enough.
Yes.
We know Conte well enough that if he's stubborn enough, I can see him starting Sanchez and Emerson on that right-hand side, and that will just be like, for fuck's sake, hold on a minute. I don't know.
And exactly. Moljo saying here, Dyer will be able to ping balls up to Sonny across right to left. He has a good long pass on him. We've seen him trying it a lot. A couple of games it's not worked, but
but it has happened. It has happened in the past. To be fair to Dyer, he's not consistent, but I would say he's probably in the 60s to 70% consistent. So he's never going to be an Alderweireld.
Yeah,
but David, he's certainly better than Sanchez at long passing.
100%.
Exactly.
Him and Longley in the same team, Dyer and Longley, that is.
Yeah,
these are passing options a lot better. I've seen Sanchez under pressure passing. It's just like a school kid. You're just thinking he's going to make a mistake here. It's like, oh dear. And the pressure, I think, is what I think will tell. Don't want to see players under too much pressure. Although it's a pressurized game, keep the pressure off them where possible.
100%. David Clark, if we are only one goal in front, I beg him not to go defensive. We must leave as many goal scorers on the pitch for as long as possible. He will do. He will not take off Son and Kane no matter what. Perisic may be depending on the how the game's going for Cess. And then obviously there's not going to be any other goal scorers. I mean, apart from Son and Kane, really. I mean, Benson goes.
Yeah, they can score goals.
Yeah, but I can't see him taking any of them two off tomorrow. So, but you never know. Terry Wright is saying here, potentially Royal, Sanchez and Lucas on the right side is an absolute shocking. Conte needs to do this back in January.
Oh, God.
We know that. We know that.
Fucking hell. Terry, What are you doing to me, son?
We could actually see that. That's the thing is Terry's not actually far from the truth here. We could actually see
Terry,
that tomorrow. Oh, Jesus,
for
Terry.
God's sake. Sorry, I nearly
Terry
used
wrong.
it.
Not Terry right. That's Terry wrong.
Yeah.
Terry
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I
Good
like
on you,
this
Terry,
comment.
mate. Good
I like this
contribution,
comment.
mate.
I like this from David Clark. I think the Spurs players may act like school kids tomorrow. The T-shirt is out of the room. Let's wreck the place. Yeah, by actually playing and performing. Can you imagine if they did that? That would be,
I think they're performing. I personally think the players. Yeah, go on, sorry.
If they do perform, the Conte out brigade will start to grow.
I know. This is it, but I don't think so. Right, David Clark. I've said all along to say it's the players' performances in the first half is wrong. Conte said this team can't press for 90 minutes, so these tactics are 100% Conte. Agree?
Yeah, but I've said it's for this season. This season is bloody mad. A game every 3 days. It's bonkers. And you cannot press for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You just cannot, especially with the years in the legs of Son and Kane. They can't do it. And I think that's why it's containment, and then step it up in the second half.
Or
and the only time,
or if you have enough players like Manchester City, which you can do it. If you've got the players that in the squad that you can rotate, then they can keep pressing and doing your philosophy. Great, but not a lot of teams have.
Yeah, I agree with Terry here as well. What was the point of the military Navy SEAL style training in the summer if we're going to always sit back and play this timid and pressless style of football? It's perplexing to me.
I think Sean covered that.
That's exactly why they did that sort of training. It's about stamina later on in the game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's not about pressing. It's about having the stamina at the end of the game, either to see out a result, hold on to a one, or to get a winner.
Absolutely. This is it. Toxic Egg Shot. Good evening, guys. Good evening. NS Sports TV, good evening to you as well. Good evening to one of our own, Spursy141. Evening, guys. I don't have a good feeling about tomorrow. I got a feeling that tomorrow's gonna be a good night. Stop it. Spursy141. We were gonna win. Terry Wright, Kane and Son need to step up big time tomorrow. Agree. Let's have a look. Good evening to Daniel Taylor. Would love to see a Spence start. We would love to see that, but unfortunately, we are not going to see that very soon. In fact, I don't think we're going to see it because he was going to be going out on loan in January. But let's see what happens.
Sick and tired, you're still hating on me.
Right. So, final thoughts, guys. Before that, match score prediction for tomorrow, please. Starting with you, Sam. Go on, Sam. Let's give it to me, baby. What do you reckon?
I reckon a draw. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Given the record that Sean suggested and you suggested, Sid, about Marseille, again, I don't see it being a high-scoring affair. I think we're just going to do enough. I think the fact that Conte's not on the sidelines means the players are going to have a bit more freedom, a bit more flexibility. But I don't think they're going to be overly adventurous. And I can see a 1-1. Actually, no, I'm going to take that. But I'm seeing a 0-0. I'm seeing a 0-0. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything. I think it's going to be a horrible game. Okay. If I'm honest with you. I hope it is.
Yeah.
But it all depends. If they get a goal, yeah, it's going to be.
Sean, what have you done to Sam?
I've done nothing to Sam. Sam's an adult. He's over 18. He can make up his own mind.
So you're going for 0-0? Okay.
I'm going for 0-0, fam. I'm going for 0-0.
My heart says 2-2.
2-2.
With Kane and Perisic scoring.
Okay.
But my head says a 1-0 defeat.
Right. So I don't want your heart. I don't want your head. I want what is your prediction for tomorrow?
There's no points on the line. That's why he's saying that.
I
There's
don't
no
want you
points
to.
on
I
the
don't want
line.
none of this.
When it's
Kylie,
the Premier
put
League,
your
it's points on
hand
the
on
line.
your heart and tell me.
No, I can't. I cannot see us winning tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine.
And they will be fired up. They the only result that counts for them is a win.
Yes.
And I fear it will be a 1-0 defeat.
1-0. Okay.
And we're in the Europa League.
That's fine. 1-0 defeat. You're saying 1-1.
No. I'm saying 0-0.
0-0. Okay. Terry Wright is saying 2-2. Daniel Taylor is saying 2-2. What's David Clark saying? The last time I sang that song was all day on a cup final day against Chelsea in the League Cup final 2008. That day I knew we would win. There you go. Simply AC saying 1-1. Benton to score in the last 10 minutes with the equaliser.
I see that.
Johnny Bethnal, Greenstroke, Kent. You see, man's on ill in bed, but 3-0. Gill scores 2.
He's delusional. He's got a fever.
I'm telling you, he's got a fever, yeah. But he can dream. Anyway, Henry Sago is saying Heart says 1-1, Head says 2-0 defeat. Wow, okay. In the ref we trust. Who's not in the ref we trust? Football gods always. Muljo 2-0 to Spurs. Kane and Sonny. We got another Greg Thursday saying 1-1. Wow, there's a lot of okay. David Clark is saying 1-1 on goal. Andrew 4-1 Tottenham, the birth of Spence. Okay.
Mr. Caswell, man. He's joined us. He's joined us a few times. He is very, very enthusiastic and certainly optimistic as well. Because 4-1.
4-1.
No, I'm liking this Andrew Caswell. I haven't seen him before. Good. Yeah.
This is what I feel. They're not playing very well this season at home. They've not got a good record at home. We've not got a good record across the channel. I'm not saying away across from the channel. However, I think the 3-2 win coming back from 2-0 against Bournemouth at the weekend is going to be massive in terms of mentality and confidence in the boys. Conte not being there tomorrow is going to be a massive. It could be a blessing in disguise or not. However, I think they are going to be so geared up, and I'm going for a 2-1 win to Spurs. I think we will beat them because the confidence after Saturday's win at Bournemouth, because we come back from the dead, and to win it, I think we'll beat them 2-1. So 2-1, 0-0, 0-1. So we got a win, a draw, and a loss. Let's see what happens.
Also, as Sean said, that I know that Marseille have to win the game to give themselves any chance to go through.
Yeah.
But they might not approach the game with that attitude that they're going to win from the start. They may play a less pressing, which might help us. And this is what I'm saying. The formation of the 3-5-2, if that's the case, you can control the games better. I just think we're going to need to control the game tomorrow. I don't want this back and forth unless we're going to go for it in the first 15 minutes and get this goal. Other than that, I want us to contain them and control it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And finally, as simply as says, the players need to grow a pair. So, guys, final thoughts, starting with you, Sean. Keep it sweet and simple. Final thoughts for tomorrow.
I want the biggest battery of eggs on my face tomorrow. I want us to go, cruise into a 3-0 lead at half time.
Yeah.
And I can put my feet up and not even watch the second half and still do the review show. But until I know what the team is, until I see the first 10 minutes, you just don't know with Tottenham. And we brought this on ourselves. We should have won last week. Absolutely should have won last week. The chances we missed late on in that game were criminal. And I think we, I hope they've got full attention. I hope Stellini's, going to instill in them, what it is. I hope Ryan Mason's going to kick some ass too. And let's not give those dark bastards down the other end of the Seven Sisters Road any joy tomorrow night. Let's go through. Let's go through.
Final thoughts, Sam? for tomorrow?
You made a good point about the Ryan Mason thing. Although I think his number 2 will probably be the one that's the main person. I think Ryan Mason, having had experience of a cup final, be it a Carabao Cup final, has been in charge of a team having to play an important game like that. I know we didn't win that cup final, but it was a decent performance up to a point in terms of a defensive performance. That is, City obviously did deserve to win that game. I just think it is, as Sean's mentioned already, team selection, how we go into this game, how these players start this game, how Marseille approach the game. If they approach this game where they're going to go for it from minute 1 and they're pressing all over the place, it's going to be a long day for us. If they're going to try and contain, to try and nick it off a 1-0 late on in the game, that plays into our hands if we can score first. But like I said, I'm calling a 0-0. So I just hope it's a game where we get through. That's all.
Cool. All I'm going to say is Eric Bailly, Veretout, Guy, Guendouzi, Suarez, Sanchez, if you're playing. All I can quote to you is Vanessa Paradis and Jola Taxi. That's it, because we're going to go there, send them all packing in Jola Taxi. That's it. That's my final thoughts. And I've said what we're going to do. We're going to win 2-1. So, thank you very much, guys, for joining me this evening. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. I thought it was going to be half an hour, but hour and 15. Thank you to everyone in the comment section. Thank you for your participation, for your comments. Please like, subscribe, and follow Paxton Road TV. And please join us tomorrow evening for whatever happens. We'll be here with the review show of Marseille versus Tottenham Hotspurs. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be tough.
Absolutely.
Was it 10:15 tomorrow? Is it?
It'll be
bullshit,
10:15.
man. Why do we have to do this bullshit?
Yeah,
I
it'll
don't
probably
understand.
be 10:15. But
Don't understand.
you know what, guys?
Should
have a great
free.
evening. Whoever's not well, Johnny Bethnal Green, Ken, get well soon.
Get well, Jodi. Get well, Jodi. All the best from the whole team here.
Get your voice ready for tomorrow evening, because the boys will need you in front of that telly shouting up and down. Enjoy your evening, guys. We shall see you tomorrow. Take care.
Come on, you Spurs.